Hello there, Hector Davil here. Today I'd like to address one of the questions that I get asked over the email, actually almost on a daily basis, and that's what currency pair do I recommend for intraday trading? What currency pairs should you focus on as an intraday trader? Well, while there are many ways to approach this particular question, today I'm gonna focus on one specific approach, and that's the cost efficiency point of view. All right? Okay, let's get started. Okay, well, as I was mentioning before, we are going to be approaching this topic from a cost efficiency point of view. Now, when it comes to costs, we obviously need to take into consideration the spread, okay? Because the spread is a fixed cost. It's basically the entry commission, the commission we all have to pay every time we enter a trade, okay? Every time we enter a position. Now, the problem with the spreads is that they vary quite greatly depending on what currency pair you are to trade. Okay, there are some currency pairs carrying higher trading volume in the market where the spreads are rather low, let's say 2-3 pips of a spread, whereas there are some other exotic currency pairs maybe carrying or certainly carrying a lower trading volume, and therefore your broker needs to pump up the spread cost. Okay, just because there are fewer transactions throughout the day taking place on those exotic currency pairs, and like I say, therefore, as a result, the spread cost is higher. Okay, we have some currency pairs such as the euro against the American dollar against the Japanese yen, the sterling pound against the American dollar, etc., where, well, depending on your broker, the spread cost can span from 1 to 3, maybe 4 pips of a spread, whereas there are some other currency pairs such as the Australian dollar against the New Zealand dollar, the Swiss franc against the Japanese yen, the sterling pound against the New Zealand dollar, you know, those exotic currency pairs where the spread cost can go up to 8, 10, even 12 pips, again depending on your broker. So obviously the spread cost varies quite greatly from one currency pair to another. Now, please mind that we are talking about intraday trading here, all right? And by definition, intraday trading means short moves and, as a result, short targets, short profit-taking levels. That means that the distance from your entry level to your profit-taking level is going to be maybe, I don't know, let's say 30 pips, 40 pips, 50 pips at the very most. All right, at no rate you are going to average 100 pips per trade, 150 pips per trade. It's just impossible. As an intraday trader, you are not going to be aiming for large moves. Instead, you are going to keep your profit-taking levels rather small. Okay? Now, as you probably know from a previous video, I like to use the average daily range in order to determine how far I can stretch out my targets from an intraday point of view. In case you haven't watched the intraday trading targets video here at the website, I recommend you to go ahead and take a look and then come back here on to continue watching this particular video. Now, as I was mentioning, the average daily range calculates the statistical average of how many pips one particular currency pair moves on a daily basis. All right? Now, and please pay attention here because this is the whole point of this video. We should compare the spread cost against the average daily range. How is that? Well, because the spread is the cost of taking a trade, whereas the average daily range is the potential return we can take out of that trade. Let's put it this way. Whenever you are considering whether getting involved in any particular investment, regardless of any investment whatsoever, you always take into consideration how much is it gonna cost you, all right, and what's the yield, the return you can expect to get out of that particular investment, right? Well, this is exactly the same. At the end of the day, intraday trading is also an investment. You are betting your money on one specific asset, which is well, that particular currency pair you are about to trade. So you need to consider how much is it gonna cost you to get into that trade and how much you can expect to get out of that particular trade. All right? And well, here's where the 5% limit rule comes in play. In my experience after, well, so many years trading the Forex market, I've come to the conclusion that any currency pair where the spread is more than 5% the average daily range, well, I am afraid that's a currency pair that's just too expensive to trade from an intraday point of view. Let's pick the euro against the American dollar, for example. All right, the typical spread for this currency pair on most retail brokers is 2 pips. Okay, the average daily range as of right now is more or less about 120 pips. So if we divide 2 by 120, let me bring out my my calculator. 2 divided by 120, and now let's multiply that by 100. Well, as you can see, that's 1.6, okay, 1.6%. So the spread of the on the euro against the American dollar is only 1.6% of the average daily range. That means that this currency pair is indeed okay to be traded from an intraday point of view. As long as this ratio remains below 5%, that's okay. You can go ahead and trade that currency pair knowing that you are being cost efficient with your trading. Okay? If any particular currency pair, again, probably a more exotic currency pair, goes beyond that 5%, well, that's a currency pair you want to trade, but only on the longer time frames, okay? Only from a long-term perspective, not from an intraday perspective, because that's just too expensive. If you are only shooting for 120 pips maximum, and the spread cost was, I don't know, let's say 12 pips, okay? Well, 12 is a 10% of the of 120, and therefore you need to pay a whole 20% just to get into that trade. That's just too expensive. Okay, so again, please limit your intraday trading to those currency pairs where the spread versus average daily range ratio is below a 5%. Okay? Now, since I know that calculating the spread versus average daily range ratio on every currency pair is a pain and rather time consuming, I asked my personal programmer to code, a little indicator for me. Well, let me actually attach it into my screen. All right, here's the indicator. Now, let me just go into properties, and on the colors tab, right there, I simply need to select everything to none. Everything to none. Just give me a second. This is going to take a minute or two. All right. We're almost done. Okay, there we are. Now we can properly read this indicator. So, like I said, I was asking my personal programmer to code this indicator for me to automate the process. Here you can see all the major 28 currency pairs in the Forex market. Okay, every single currency pair that's made up by crossing the most important currencies in the Forex market: the American dollar, the euro, the sterling pound, the Japanese yen, the Swiss franc, okay, the Australian dollar, the Canadian dollar, and the New Zealand dollar. So if you combine all these 8 major currencies, these are the 8 major currencies in the world, well, you get a total of 28 currency pairs, which is basically what this indicator keeps track of. Okay? Anyway, as you can see, the indicator prints the ratio, the average daily range versus the spread ratio, in 3 possible colors: green, yellow, or red. Those colored in green means that the ratio is below 3%. Okay, 3% or lower. That's ideal. Those are the ideal or the most efficient currency pairs to trade from an intraday point of view. Okay. In the other hand, those currency pairs that are colored in yellow means that the ratio is between 3 and 5%. That means that they are still okay to be traded from an intraday point of view, but only if your profit taking level, if your target is of 40 pips or more. I'll repeat, those currency pairs colored in yellow means that they are still efficient to be traded from an intraday point of view, but only if you are shooting for 40 pips or more on that specific trade. Okay? For example, if you are spotting a trading opportunity but your profit taking level is only of 25 pips, then indeed those currency pairs colored in yellow are still too expensive for just a 25 pip profit taking level. Okay, again, 40 pips or more is okay. Anything lower than 40 pips is too expensive for those currency pairs colored in yellow. And again, those colored in red are, well, the currency pairs where the ratio is above 5%. Okay, and obviously that's just too expensive to trade as an intraday point of view, no matter your profit taking level. Okay, so those currency pairs colored in red should be exclusively traded by longer term traders. I don't know, traders who base their trading decisions off the daily time frame, maybe off the weekly time frame, because you are going to be shooting for 200 pips, 300 pips, okay, every individual trade, and therefore, well, you can afford paying 8 or 10 pips of a spread if you are shooting for 300 pips on every trade on average. But as an intraday trader, if you are just shooting for 50, 60 pips, then you cannot really pay 8, 10, 12 pips of a spread cost. It's just too expensive. Okay, so again, my recommendation, limit your intraday trading to those currency pairs colored in green or yellow, and you'll make sure that you are being efficient as an intraday trader. Okay? By the way, a final word of warning. If you see that most of the currency pairs are colored in red or yellow for you, well, that means that you should be in the market for a new broker. It just means that your broker's spread cost structure is just too expensive. So again, you should be shopping around for a new, cheaper broker. Under this video you can find the links to both download the indicator and also to check out the forex brokers I personally recommend. Okay, brokers that I personally like, brokers that have proven to be reliable, honest, with cheap spreads, fast execution speed, etc., etc. Again, should you want to check them out, the link is under this video. And well, that's pretty much all I have to say as far as being cost efficient with your intraday trades. Now please do me a favor, go ahead and leave any comments, any question, any feedback at the comments section under this video. Okay, let me know whether you enjoyed this video, whether you enjoyed this indicator, anything you may have to say. I will make sure to read all the comments. Okay, anyway, cheers, thanks for stopping by, and I'll be speaking to you soon. Bye bye.